Family Fights with Kyle Harrison and Matthew Blumenthal. Boom, there's your intro. How'd I do?
What is up, people of the MMA world? Welcome back to the Family Fights podcast. I'm Kyle Harrison. With me, as always, my little cousin Matthew.
What's up, guys? How are we doing?
And we are here. I'm live on location in Anaheim, California for UFC 270 Fight Week. Very exciting. We're here to talk some current events and break down just the main card for you guys because I'm super busy here in California doing lots of fun things. Matthew, what do you got going on this week? Just school?
Yeah, I just got a lot of schoolwork doing, and then my senior night for hockey's on Saturday, and my little cousins from my dad's side are coming down from Virginia, and I haven't seen them in a while. And one of them's likes karate, so that's going to be a lot of fun. We can mess around on the wrestling mats in the basement and have a really good time.
Nice. Yeah, I've been in California for 2 days now, having a great time, had some good meals, and got to go to the press conference yesterday. Let me tell you, the atmosphere was actually great. I saw some people online saying that it was a shitty press conference, but I don't think the video broadcast must have captured that atmosphere because it was really funny. It felt like really intimate. It was kind of in a small convention center. Usually these UFC press conferences are in pretty big rooms, but it was in a really small convention center, and Brandon Moreno was just being really funny. Francis Ngannou was being funny, shutting down reporters. It felt like everybody in the room also collectively we're all rooting for the same people. Like usually the room is split between fighters, but this time like every single person in there was cheering for Brandon Moreno. It wasn't even funny. Like Deiveson Figueiredo couldn't open his mouth without getting booed. It was wild.
Yeah, I watched it on the computer, and I loved it. I loved seeing Brandon like that. I mean, we've never seen Brandon just go, wah, 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 wah.
Yeah, he was owning the trash talk.
Yeah.
He was really owning the trash talk.
It seems like he's getting more annoyed that Deiveson's even trying this than getting annoyed at what he's saying, because I don't think this is getting to Brandon. I think Brandon's having a great time. A few of my friends said that the press conference was a little dull, but I just don't think they were looking at the right things, because you had the stuff between Francis and Ciryl. Ciryl got like low-key depressed when Francis said...
I thought that was really interesting. And what I also think is interesting is how the UFC is trying so hard to push this narrative that there's bad blood and that there's like history between these two, and they literally so many times have said like, I respect you. We have no personal issues with each other. We barely know each other. So it's like, It's kind of hard for me to buy into this narrative that the UFC is trying to sell us.
And Dana White's heart dropped when Francis goes, we were not teammates. And Dana saw his entire promotional for the entire card
that's
drop.
That's all they've been selling us for the past month.
Yeah, like I said last pod, heavyweight fights usually sell themselves. This one for some reason didn't, so they needed to find it.
And this perfectly leads into our first current events topic, which I have written down as UFC versus Francis Ngannou, because let's be honest, all week long they've just been doing a horrible job of promoting their heavyweight champion. I mean, if you watch the embedded vlogs, you would totally think that Ciryl Gane is the real heavyweight champion.
Yeah, even like the Instagram, like when they were doing their photo shoots, they took a picture of Francis and they're like, the Predator. And they took a picture of Ciryl and they're like, here with the champ. And we're like, okay, Cyryl's the interim champ, and that was a fake interim belt.
Yeah.
Like, Francis is the champ, but like Kyle said, if you're just someone who doesn't know a lot about MMA, or maybe this is the first fight card you're watching, and you like look up UFC 270, you're going to think that Francis is challenging Gane for the title.
Yeah, I don't like it. I mean, obviously Dana White has some sort of grudge against Francis Ngannou, but he has to get over it and promote his fighter the way he deserves to be promoted.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know I'm starting to become the minority in which I like Dana White, and I don't see too big of an issue with him. I think he has made a few mistakes, and this is one of them. I feel like Dana takes things personal sometimes, and he'll shun out fighters that he doesn't want to be in the spotlight. And I guess you could say it's his promotion. He does what he wants with it. But I just don't understand when you have the guy who has the most powerful punch in history as your champion of the heavyweight division, giving him the title of the baddest man on planet Earth, and you're not promoting him correctly. It's just a little confusing to me. I think he can put it beside him and do what's right for the company, because I feel like if they promoted Francis, the company would do a lot better in general.
I agree. I think Ciryl and Francis are both very promotable guys if the company goes about it the right way. Because Francis doesn't have the best personality, but there is so many things about him to like his come-up story, like his background, like his power, and just the way that he looks. So I think they need to get their shit together and figure out how to promote some of these international fighters a little bit better. Moving on to our next topic. Big news this week. Amanda Nunes is apparently leaving her camp at American Top Team and going to start her own team in Florida where she can be the focus, following in the footsteps of a lot of other people, such as Colby Covington, who, funny enough, also left American Top Team. I wonder if there's something going on at American Top Team that we don't know about.
I think it's just kind of what you see with Usman as well, is there's fighters that simply just need more attention. There's fighters that will do well in a setting where a coach will hold pads for you for 3 minutes throughout the day and you're just working with your partners. And there's some guys, and I'm one of them, who needs a little bit of not special attention, but specialization for their guys, and especially when you're Amanda Nunes, who was slated as the top female fighter in history. When you're kind of just in the mix of everyone else, it can definitely get difficult. And sometimes, especially coming off a loss, you might realize that maybe you do need that specialization. You need that coach to be on you and focusing on you. I think her leaving makes sense in my eyes. I don't like that it's coming off of a loss, and I don't like that we're just hearing about it now. Now, if she's thought about this for a while and she just does it now, I understand that. But if this is a spur of the moment, kind of 1 week long decision, I don't love it, because I'm trying to think of who are her training partners going to be, who are her coaches going to be, because it's definitely hard when you leave a gym. You don't just leave your coaches, you leave all of your sparring partners as well.
Right, and Usman was lucky in the fact that the place he went, he has access to everybody at Elevation Fight Team. Like, he does train with Trevor Whitman, which technically is a separate gym and a separate team than Elevation Fight Team, but Trevor Whitman's guys still spar with our guys. Like, so it's a little bit different with Usman, and I think he did it the best way he possibly could have.
Yeah, and even if your coaching is top of the food chain, I'm a firm believer that you could have the best coach in the world, but if you don't have good sparring partners, you're gonna
if you don't have the bodies,
you're gonna get starked when you get in the octagon with some of the best women in the world.
I mean, that's according to Francis, one of the main reasons he wanted to move to the U.S. is because he was having trouble sustaining training camps with partners in France, because there's not high-level MMA fighters out there, especially high-level MMA fighters that are Francis' size.
Yeah, that's something I feel with a lot of European fighters and even fighters from Mexico and Canada is, quite frankly, the United States. We might not have all the champions in the UFC, but we definitely have the most high-level talent in the world. And
right.
That's what the champions need.
With the exception of Israel Adesanya, what international champion doesn't train in the United States? Volkan Adesanya, those are the only two, and they're in Australia.
Correct. I mean,
so
you need good training partners to win fights.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Moving on. More news in the female UFC divisions. Miesha Tate, Cupcake, dropping down to Flyweight, which is interesting. And her first fight is going to be Lauren Murphy. That's not an easy test. And after getting defeated pretty handedly by Ketlin Vieira in a lopsided decision, I just don't know how this is going to go for Miesha Tate.
It's two girls coming off losses, and I was a little surprised to see the drop, because I feel as if 135 is an easier division, and Miesha's not a small girl. Like, she's a big, meaty girl.
She's ripped.
She's massive, not in like fat. Like, she's got muscle to her.
Yeah, no, she's very strong.
So she's going to have to sacrifice some strength and some speed going down. And like you said, Lauren Murphy is no joke. I mean, yes, she got dominated by Shevchenko, but I mean, who doesn't get dominated by Shevchenko?
Exactly.
But outside of Shevchenko, Lauren Murphy is top 2, top 3 in that division.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. We'll be going into more detail on that fight when it's coming up. I just wanted to get your initial reaction on it. Last current event topic for today. The UFC announces that they're heading to London, back internationally. Finally, hopefully this is a sign that the world is going to start opening up.
Hopefully. And
we're going to get to see some fight cards all over the world. I know they announced Rio just recently and now London, so this is going to be exciting. What do you think about our international fight market coming back to life?
I absolutely love it. Like we mentioned earlier, the majority of champions in the UFC are from outside of the United States. I think it's great that we're starting to see the UFC leave the United States. I think it's great that we're getting to see fans back for non-numbered events, and it's definitely weird for me since the first time I started actually following MMA and the UFC was the Gaethje fight. So I've never seen a fight night with fans in it, so I was thinking about the Columbus card, and now this Europe card that's going to be amazing. And people are always like, I heard people on Twitter say, ugh, a heavyweight main event for this is not what we wanted. No, Tom Aspinall is a fun fighter to watch.
And Alexander Volkov, their styles complement each other perfectly, I think.
Yeah, Aspinall is very, very fun fighter to watch. He's in my top 10 favorite fighters. I love him, and I can't wait to see him on his own stomping ground.
Yeah, I agree, and Paddy Pimblett's going to be on that card. I just think it's going to be really cool to have an opportunity to see all of these European fighters shine on their home turf.
And they don't have to be up at 4 a.m. to watch the main card.
Exactly. That does it for our current events. Now let's move on to the UFC 270 breakdown. Like I said in the beginning of the episode, usually we're going to give you guys the full card, and we're going to give you some super in-depth analysis. But this time, since I've been traveling, I've been busy with lots of fight week activities. We're just going to do the main card for you guys. Also, my apologies, but my analysis is not going to be as in-depth this week. Don't worry, I've still done all the research that I usually do. I just haven't had enough time to compile my notes and write them out in a way that sounds good for me to explain them to you guys. So I'm just going to be giving you my basic idea of how I think the fights are going to go. And then I'm going to be giving you my favorite bets at the end. Matthew might have some more in-depth analysis for you guys like he usually does. What do you got for us?
Yeah, I've had a busy week as well, dealing with injuries, so I've been in and out of doctor's offices and hockey, so I'm not as in-depth as I was in the past as well, but I've definitely done all the research, and we're people just like you, and we just love doing this, and let's get to it.
Yep. Anyways, we'll definitely be back next week with more in-depth breakdowns, and we're not traveling and super busy, but let's start with the main event. We got Francis Ngannou as a plus 122 underdog last I checked when I made these notes. These are the FanDuel odds, by the way. Shout out FanDuel, my favorite sports book. Anyways, Francis Ngannou, the defending champion, plus 122 versus Ciryl Gane, minus 150. This isn't quite in pick'em range, but it's pretty close. We'll start with you, Matthew.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Shout out to BetMGM, my favorite betting site. That's in air quotes. I have Francis at plus 125 and Francis knockout at plus 165. So basically the bookies are saying it's going to be Francis by knockout or Gane, which I like the value on both of those. And I am going to take Francis here. I think that Ciryl is more talented than him in the sense if he can move around and he can probably mix it up better than Francis can. But I loved the way Francis' coach was talking, Eric Nixick. He was speaking about Francis's changes in a great way. I think Francis looks very calm. I don't think that all of this outside talk with Fury in the UFC is getting him too much. I feel like he could focus on Gane a little bit more. But I like what he said last night about Gane is my opponent. I'm not worried about Fernando Lopez or any of that. And I think he will get hit. I think Cyril's going to be able to hit him, walk around him in circles. But like Israel said, Israel Adesanya had a breakdown of this fight, and he said you cannot avoid a strike for 25 minutes. Like, even the guy with some of the best head movement in the world admits you are going to get hit in a fight, and I think that when you get hit by Francis Ngannou, there's a good chance your lights go out, and I don't think that Gane has the power to knock out Ngannou.
I like what you're thinking, and yeah, I'm having a lot of trouble with this fight, and this fight really scares me. I'm a huge Ciryl Gane fan. For a long time, as soon as this fight got announced, I couldn't wait to bet on Ciryl Gane, but just the closer I get to the fight and the more fight week goes on, I just get more and more nervous for him. I mean, it really is true that only one thing can happen when Francis Ngannou connects.
Yeah, but
and that's a knockout.
Gane is looking very calm. He looks unaffected. I
Right.
loved his mentality of, hey, if I lose, I lose. I'll be back next time. That means he's not putting a ton of pressure on this fight. And I love Ciryl as well. I'm definitely more of a Francis fan, but I think Ciryl beats everyone in that division handily except for Francis, which I'm not saying he won't beat him. Both main events, the Moreno fight and the Ngannou fight, I'm not going to be surprised if the guy I didn't pick to win wins.
Right. So my breakdown for the main event is kind of along the lines of, part of me thinks Ciryl Gane's chin is going to be able to eat a lot of Francis' shots in the beginning, because he ate a lot of bombs in the Volkov fight, and I'm not trying to compare Volkov's power to Francis' power at all. I see Matthew shaking his head, and for those of you listening, that's not what I'm trying to do. But also, the other side of that coin is Stipe. Stipe ate all of Francis' shots in the first round. Now, they definitely wore down on him and probably contributed to the knockout that happened in the second, but Ciryl Gane's chin is going to be much, much more refreshed than Stipe's. So I think if Ciryl can eat some of those shots for 2, maybe 2.5 rounds, then he'll really be able to use his pace as a weapon and maybe draw Francis into some deep waters. That's me putting a lot of faith in Ciryl Gane's chin, and also putting a lot of faith in Ciryl Gane's ability to get hit, but not get hit completely clean with his movement. So if Ciryl Gane is able to fight that kind of fight, I'm going to pick Ciryl Gane by decision. I also really wouldn't be surprised if Ciryl Gane gets this fight to the ground, because Francis Ngannou's submission defense is very questionable. We've not had to see him use it at all. Maybe the closest he's ever been to getting submitted was in his first Stipe fight, when Stipe took him down a bunch of times. But I don't even remember seeing Stipe throw any submissions. Ngannou was never in danger there. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I'm having a lot of trouble deciding if it's going to be a first round Ngannou KO or if it's going to be a masterclass by Ciryl Gane. We're just going to have to see. For official pick purposes, I'm going to be going Gane by decision, but like Matthew said, I would not be surprised by either outcome in this fight.
Yeah, I agree. I texted you about a month ago that I think this fight could be on the ground quite a bit, or at least more than people think. And I think people also have to take into consideration that Francis has not fought in a year without injury, which means all that he's been doing is getting better. So I think, like, you even saw after his first camp at Extreme Couture, he was finding shots better. He was being more patient and connecting cleaner than he was in the past. So if he's leveled up on that, I think it could be a bad night for Gane.
Yeah, moving on down the line, we have the flyweight title fight, the trilogy, between Brandon Moreno, sitting at -178, and Deiveson Figueiredo at +144. I love Brandon Moreno. His energy is intoxicating. Even at the press conference, I could feel his energy from the stage, and I just wanted to smile.
I felt it through my computer, man.
Yeah, it's just really, really hard not to catch a vibe from this guy. And Deiveson Figueiredo is the absolute opposite. Every time he opens his mouth, he was getting booed, and he just looks like not a pleasant guy up there on the stage. He said he embraces being the villain, but I just don't like the guy. I used to love him. He looked absolutely unbeatable before he lost to Moreno. He looked so well-rounded. He had power that nobody else in the division had. And then I think when he lost to Moreno, it kind of shocked him. That being said, I think he's at a crossroads in his career. Depending on how this fight goes, he could really go in two directions. Obviously, if he wins, he'll probably stay at flyweight. But if he loses, I really think he'll go up to bantamweight. I don't know if his body is meant to perform optimally at this weight class. And I think the title run that he had when he beat Alex Perez and when he beat Joseph Benavidez twice might have been the peak of what his body is capable of doing at flyweight. I think that question's going to be answered this weekend. Yeah, so the pick is going to be Moreno. I think he's going to just be a little bit too well-rounded. I think everything is on his side right now. The UFC loves him. The people love him. I think we, the crowd, are contributing a lot to getting in Deiveson Figueiredo's head. And, yeah, I just don't know if all his time with Henry Cejudo is going to be enough. That being said, he looked fucking awesome at weigh-ins this morning. That scared me. I texted Matthew after weigh-ins and said, I am scared.
Yeah, I'm sitting in class and I get a text. I'm scared for Brandon.
Yeah, a healthy Figueiredo is definitely a dangerous Figueiredo. But I just think Brandon is a shooting star right now that's not being stopped by anybody.
Yeah, I've never liked Figueiredo. I actually liked him for about 10 minutes, and that was after the last Moreno fight when he looked human. in the sense that he was happy for his opponent. I mean, you're never supposed to be happy that you lost. But I felt bad because I never had a reason to like him, and I'm not the kind of guy that just hates people because I want to. But now I have a reason to hate him. So Deiveson, I really fucking hate you. And I mean, like Kyle said, the energy off Moreno right now is insane. I'm working out in my basement with the press conference on and stretching, and I'm getting pumped up just listening to Moreno laugh. And even at the stare down, he's holding his belt, making frowny faces. I just think it's hilarious. We've never seen Brandon take the spotlight like this, and I think he's loving it. And for anyone who thinks that he's slacking off training-wise, you're completely wrong. His training in the embedded vlogs looks sick. Like, if I could pick one guy to train with right now, Moreno is definitely in that conversation because that looked fun. That looked like he's pushing himself and he's not settling. He knows that some people think that his last one is a fluke, and he's doing everything in his power to show everyone that he is the best flyweight in the world. And in the first fight, which was a draw, I think Figueiredo won, but they took the point with the groin strike, which I agree with. Shout out Jason Herzog, best ref in MMA. But I think Deiveson is going to pressure Moreno like he did in the first fight. But I think that Moreno's footwork is too clean. I think his boxing is too clean. He'll be able to shove a jab in Deiveson's face, step back, bang a right cross, land little short uppercut, short hooks every time Figueiredo tries to get in. And I'm not saying Moreno's not going to get hit, because I think he will. I think Deiveson's a very good fighter who can apply some really good pressure, but Moreno's too clean. I think he's very comfortable on the ground. Obviously, he got a little cut up with elbows in the last fight, and Deiveson's now saying he's going to tear his face off. I found that a little weird. I think Moreno is comfortable on the ground. You've got to watch out for Deiveson's guillotines and submissions. He's very good down there, but obviously Moreno subbed him last time. So that might kind of play a mental trick with Deiveson. Maybe he wants to stay away from the ground knowing that he was submitted down there. I think this is a very close fight, but I am going to pick Moreno. He's in my top 5 favorite fighters, and I've liked what I've seen. I like him more and more every time I watch him. Every time I watch film, I find something new, and even when I was doing a little shadow boxing, trying to rehab myself last night, I was thinking about Moreno and just that piston of a jab he was throwing. I mean, that thing looked like a bullet.
Yeah, it's going to be a good fight. Going to be 2 great title fights. Moving on down the card, we have Michel Pereira at minus 310 versus short notice fill-in Andre Fialho at plus 240. Pereira was originally supposed to fight last week, but Muslim Salikov had to pull out. And then they gave him a last-minute replacement, which is Fialho, but then they pushed the fight back a week, probably because this card was suffering, and Pereira is an entertaining fighter.
Yeah.
Guy's on a 3-fight win streak, and he's absolutely huge for this division, and he's kind of a freak athlete. He practices capoeira, which, if you guys don't know, is a Brazilian martial art that kind of fuses dancing and martial arts, which is why he does all the crazy backflips and acrobatic Superman punches and cage kicks. With that being said, his ring IQ isn't that good, but he's relatively well-rounded. If you get him to the ground, he can hold his own. Even though he still does crazy shit through his fights, I think he's learning through every fight, and I think he's learning to be more patient and to not let that stuff get in the way of his actual fighting. Andre Fialho is definitely on a nice winning streak of his own. He's won the last 4 fights, all by knockout. 3 of them in the first round. And he has very heavy hands. And he's still young, so he is also improving a lot. Just like Pereira, although Pereira's not that young. Andre Fialho is also a guy that I like to say is going to fight for your money. He'll never give up. He showed this in his fight against Chris Curtis, which I think was too much too soon for him, but he never gave up. He lost, but he never gave up in that fight. Yeah, I think this is a total dog or pass fight for me. I really, really hate Michel Pereira and his style. I think he robbed Nico Price of the victory. He also threw a completely illegal head kick to Nico Price while he had his back on the ground. He literally backflipped on a Nico Price and landed on his face. Face stomped him.
He was an inch away, never hit the face.
It's ridiculous. I disagree. His shin fully made contact with his face. You can totally see it in the slow motion. Anyways, I think Fialho is taking this fight. He said in press conferences that he doesn't appreciate Michel's dancing style, and it's not going to be a good matchup for him. And Yeah, I think he's just going to be able to be patient, wait for the knockout to come to him, and I'm definitely taking Fialho knockout prop. What about you?
I love this fight. I love Michel Pereira.
I hate the guy, bro.
If you are new to MMA, welcome. Thanks for joining the podcast and the MMA family. But if you're looking for a fight that you're like, oh, I just want to see some action, I would definitely say this is a fight to watch because Pereira is going to throw spinning kicks. He'll throw spinning attacks. He'll jump. He'll do backflips. He'll do it all. Superman punches. I really like Fialho. I really wish that we were able to see him get a full camp before getting this fight. I feel like on a full camp he might have been able to win, but I'm going to take Pereira because Pereira, he moves too much. And I see Fialho as a guy who likes to stand very calm and just pick out one or two shots. And like Kyle said, he does have heavy hands. So if he connects on Pereira, it could be lights out. I don't see cardio being too much of an issue with Andre. He's never really shown huge issues with it, and he has.
But we don't know how short notice is going to affect that.
What I was going to say is with his style, I don't know if cardio is that big of an issue on short notice. But I think I saw some issues with him landing shots. I don't think he landed clean shots when his opponent did a good job of jumping in and out of range very quickly, like Pereira does. So I'm going to take Pereira by decision here, but I would definitely maybe throw half of a unit on a Fialho knockout.
Yep. I see where you're coming from for sure. Moving on to our next fight. We have Cody Stamann plus 164 versus Said Nurmagomedov minus 205. You want to start with this one?
Yeah, I like this fight. I like Stamann. I like Nurmagomedov. People are going to see Nurmagomedov's name and think he's going to be a wrestler because of obviously
exactly.
Nurmagomedov.
He is Khabib's cousin.
Yeah, he's the cousin, but he is nowhere near the wrestling of the rest of his family. But his striking is most likely best out of all of them. It is
his
precise.
striking is very nice. If you guys couldn't see, I just made an okay sign, like mwah, chef's kiss on Said Nurmagomedov striking.
If you take Nurmagomedov and you put him in a silhouette body and you just watch him strike, you would never think that he's a Nurmagomedov family member.
Right.
I like
he's
Cody
not
Stamann.
built like them at all.
No, and he throws spinning shit. He'll throw Superman punches. He'll do it all. Nurmagomedov, he works better from the outside, and Cody Stamann does excellent work on the inside. I could see Stamann getting on the inside once or twice, but I did see Nurmagomedov catch his previous opponents when they tried to get inside, and I don't know if Cody has the skills or the ring IQ to change his angle first or do it fast enough. But also a big point in this fight is Nurmagomedov has a 5.5-inch reach advantage, which means he's going to be able to keep Cody on the outside, and I think Said takes this fight.
Yeah, I agree with you. Cody Stamann, look, he's consistent. He's definitely just your average meat and potatoes kind of fighter with low output, but he's pretty hard to beat because he's pretty well-rounded. That's my impression of watching his film. And he's strong for the division and lands good takedowns.
Yeah, if he gets inside and stays there, he's a dangerous fighter.
Yeah, and he only has really lost to the top guys in the division. That being said, I think Said Nurmagomedov is definitely a top guy in this division. Like I said, he's Khabib's cousin, and his one UFC loss is to Raoni Barcelos, and that fight was really close. He's definitely a striker, like Matthew said, which is surprising because obviously the Nurmagomedov name comes with a rich history of wrestling heavy stylistic fighters. But I mean, he trains with the whole family. He's a Dagestani, so you know he is good wrestling. He may not be a wrestler by style, but you know he is good wrestling. He looked really impressive with his last fight with a fast knockout win. Super long, like Matthew said, and he likes to throw flashy strikes. But he's also not scared of the takedown. His takedown defense is really good. I think this is a terrible matchup for Stamann. He does not have the knockout power or the wrestling ability to beat Said Nurmagomedov. I think Nurmagomedov's going to land the cleaner strikes. He's going to outpace Stamann and win a decision. Said by decision is probably one of my favorite picks of the night.
Cool.
Sweet. Moving on. Last fight of the main card, we have Michael Morales, who I believe is making his UFC debut against, at minus 128, against Trevin Giles, plus 104. I'll start with this one. I dislike Trevin Giles. He's one of my favorite fighters to fade. And that's just because he is splitting time between being a police officer and a fighter. And that does not usually work well when people are splitting times between other full-time jobs and training to be a UFC fighter. That being said, Trevin Giles, to me, just has a lot of trouble seeing things coming his way. He does not have the best fight IQ, and his reactions are slow. I think this line is wrong. I think Michael Morales is young. He's powerful. He's going to walk through Trevin Giles. It's not even going to be close. I would hammer Michael Morales at minus 128. The only question mark is that it's his UFC debut, and we don't know how he's going to handle the nerves. But besides that, he's a better fighter than Trevin Giles in every aspect of the sport.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from, and people were early in this fight week anchor that Tapora wasn't on the main card, but he frustrated me this week because if you guys didn't know, his opponent dropped out, and he said he should lose the undefeated tag because you shouldn't be missing weight, and then he missed weight, so that pissed me off. But hey, now we get to see this fight go up the ranks. I'm also going to take Morales here. I don't dislike Giles. I just don't think he's going to get it done. I think this will be a very close fight. The newcomer is very good. I do always question the nerves coming into your first UFC fight, but when I looked at Morales's Contender Series fight, he looked so patient. He looked so calm. He looked like he had everything was inside. He had no worries. I think the same thing's going to happen tomorrow night. I think he's going to be very calm, see what's in front of him. And Trevin Giles, a good fighter, but definitely a beatable fighter. And Giles fights with his hands down, and I think Morales is going to be able to fire in his straights right over the top of that. And I think it's just going to be a really good fight. But yeah, I'm going to take Morales on it.
Nice. So that's it for the main card, guys. We're going to go through our picks just for the main card. Official picks for the whole card will be out on Saturday, and then we're going to go through our favorite bets really quick on the podcast. Just a quick shout-out, though. There is an OnlyFans fade on this card. If you guys don't know, lots of female fighters have decided to take it upon themselves to earn some extra money. No hate. But they're starting OnlyFans, selling some nude pictures, some suggestive videos, whatever you may want to see. If you're into that, you know where to look for it. But I love fading these fighters that have OnlyFans, especially when they're huge favorites like Kay Hansen. What do you think about my OnlyFans fade?
I've really not seen enough from Kay Hansen to say if an OnlyFans account's going to stop her from winning. Looking at her, fuck it, she might make some good money on OnlyFans.
She's beautiful.
Yeah, I've seen her Instagram and some of the Twitter posts, and, if I was a type of guy that had OnlyFans, I would probably subscribe to her, but I'm not an OnlyFans kind of guy. I think that's honestly a little weird when porn is free, everyone. No need to pay for it. But yeah, I'd like to see Kay Hansen win. I feel like her account might blow up and make her some extra cash.
Nice. All right. Official picks. I'll start. I'm going with Gane, Moreno, Fialho, Nurmagomedov, and Morales.
I'm going to go Nagano, Moreno, Pereira, Nurmagomedov, and Morales.
All right. And for the best bets, as always, we are going to give you guys one straight bet, one prop bet, and one parlay. So for my straight bet, I am going to go Andre Fialho. Take the dog at plus 240.
For my straight bet, I'm going to take Francis. I think it's very odd that you ever get a champion at plus money, but if I think my most confident bet, I'm going to go Nurmagomedov, even though he's minus 195. I really don't see him losing this bout.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And for prop, I'm going to go Nurmagomedov by decision.
For prop, I'm going to go Gane decision because I don't see him finishing Francis if he wins.
Cool. And for my parlay, I'm going to do a 3-leg parlay. First leg is going to be Syed Nurmagomedov. Second leg is going to be my boy Tony Gravely, who we didn't talk about in the breakdowns, but I really like his chances to win this fight. And the third leg, I'm going to throw in Raoni Barcelos to beat Victor Henry.
I'm going to start mine off with the first fight of the night. I'm going to give you Dempualos. I don't like her opponent in Juarez. I don't think she's going to win that fight, so definitely throw Dempualos into a parlay. And then my second leg is going to be Nurmagomedov. And then I'll give Francis for the third because I think his plus money is going to boost the fuck out of a parlay.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good idea. A good way to utilize that that line on Francis that many people probably think is wrong.
If you're really worried about the Francis fight, but for some reason you have the urge to bet on it, first of all, if you're very worried about a fight, don't bet on it. But if you want to bet on it, I could see you throwing Francis into a parlay and then hedging that with Gane. And if you don't know what hedging means, it means you're going to place a bet on both guys, so you don't lose as much money if your first choice doesn't win.
Mm-hmm. Also, Francis Ngannou round 1 at plus 400. That's pretty good value. I think if Ngannou's going to get a KO, it's going to be in the first round.
I don't know. He seems to be a second rounder in his last fight, and I can see it happening again because, like you said, I think Gane might eat a shot. So second or third round, I want to throw a little prop bet on it.
Fair. And Tony Gravely. I think Tony Gravely gets a first round finish easily. If you want to throw something on Tony Gravely in round 1, that's sitting at about plus 380, so that's great value.
Also, if you want another prop bet, you could go the Pereira fight going the distance.
I like that too.
Yeah.
All right. There you guys have it. I am about to go get ready to head over to the ceremonial weigh-ins at the Anaheim Convention Center. This has been another episode of the Family Fights podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm Kyle Harrison, as always, signing off for me and my little cousin Matthew Blumenthal. We will see you guys next time.
Have a great day, guys. The Family Fights podcast will be releasing every Monday and every Friday. In those episodes, we will look back at the most recent card, give updates and predictions on future cards, as well as look at news and current events in the UFC and other MMA organizations. If you would like to reach out, our Instagram and Twitter are The Family Fights Pod, or you can reach out at email, and that is thefamilyfightspodcast@gmail.com. Have a great day, everyone.
Family Fights. Let's do it.